Hey there folks, welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be taking a look at the SH.Figuarts Spider-Man No Way Home Integrated Suit Final Battle Edition. Let's get into it. Alright guys, so right off the bat, before we break into the box and take a look at the figure, we're going to take a look at the other two Spideys right next to each other. Or all three of them right next to each other, rather. You can see that they have very, Tobey's not in the box correctly. He's got the unmasked head on the figure as opposed to being next to him. But either way, the packaging is very uniform. That's much appreciated. That's something that I really appreciate and tend to favor, as opposed to all the packaging looking different. And with this version, they were able to label Andrew as Spider-Man No Way Home, where it seems like for some reason Hot Toys and Marvel Legends have to brand it as The Amazing Spider-Man 2. As you can see, they had to use an image from The Amazing Spider-Man 2, so I'm not entirely sure what's going on there. It's a bit strange, but it is cool to see that they were at least able to get the packaging close enough. As you can see, the packaging is kind of based off of each character's suit. Tobey's got his colors. Andrew's got some of the darker colors, which, I mean, that could really go either way. Andrew's suit kind of looks brighter and darker depending on what the lighting is around it because of the nature of his reflective kind of fabrics. But then you got Tom's suit right in the center with the gold and the kind of grayish black here, which in my personal opinion, it's blue. There's a lot of scenes in the film where it looks blue. I know people will argue with me, but in a sense, I think this figure is more accurate than this one, but there is a lot to love about this figure. But moving on, here's the spines. Again, that uniform quality continues. Very nice to see. The backs, you get shots of the figure and your legal information. Very nice to see. And then close-up shots of the figures, looking superb. There's the tops, there's the bottoms. Enough of this, let's break the figure open. Alright folks, so we're getting some pretty solid accessories here, I must say. He's the most jam-packed out of the three figures for this film, so that is pretty cool. Of course, obviously, he's the main Spider-Man for the film, for the movie, so obviously they would do him good. But let's take a look at what he's got. He's got the same set of webs that all three figures have for this film. First is this longer swinging web. That's kind of got this hook at the end. Very good web for like downward swinging. There's not much else you can do with it other than kind of like pulling towards yourself. It's not a very dynamic webbing opposed to one that just has a flat, just a straight cut, or one that's more like a right angle. This one's kind of specific for that motion. You can be creative with it, of course, and also if you've got a bunch of Spider-Man figures, you've got a bunch of webs that kind of have different configurations. So it is cool to see this. All three of the figures get the same webbing, the only difference being the level of opaqueness. As far as I'm aware, Tobey has the clearest webs, and then Tom's is slightly more opaque, or slightly less translucent. And then Andrew has the most milky color, from what I can remember. Then you get these kind of longer thwipping webs and these shorter thwipping webs. So those are very cool, of course. Moving on to some kind of tool action. Here you get this little picky tool. You pick the back, you pick the flap off the back, and you can either stick a stand directly into his back, depending on what kind of stands you have, or you can stick this into his back and specifically use an SH.Figuarts stand. So that is pretty cool. Actually, with this figure, I don't think you'll be able to do that based off the notch on this back. It might be too small to stick another stand in there like some of the other figures. So it looks like you might only be able to use an SH.Figuarts stand for this specific one. You get interchangeable eyes, which in all honesty don't look that much different from the ones that are on the figure. They look like they're exactly the same. There's just a slight difference. I believe these ones are slightly smaller. So there's not really any point in really comparing those. You get a loose mask. A very nice, unique sculpt. I appreciate this a lot. As you can see, it's got kind of a little dip on it, a little grippy part. You can use your grippy hands to stick that in there, and you can hold it like that, or you can reuse that creative bone in your body, and you can also use relaxed hands to hold it. Now, these two colors don't really match up perfectly, but what? Look at that. So you can do that too if you'd like. Again, the colors don't really match specifically for that example, but he was sitting right here, and I thought of it. So there you go. That's a nice little mask. We can take a little closer look at this. I don't think it's quite as unique as the sculpt they gave Toby's, and unfortunately we never seen the light of day of Andrew's sculpt, but this one is pretty sharp. It's a little bit more unique than what we generally see from Mafex, for an example. They kind of do the same kind of D shape, so I think that this is very cool. For the rest of the accessories, we get an unmasked Tom Holland Peter Parker head sculpt. This is the same head sculpt we had seen for the final battle edition of the Avengers Endgame Iron Spider, as well as the Spider-Man No Way Home black and gold suit Spider-Man. However, this time around it's been updated in terms of its paint and also been upscaled, so it's slightly bigger than the previous one. Just to give you an example, the previous one would have been a little bit closer in scale to this Mafex Peter Parker head. This one's a little bit bigger, so it has jumped up in size. You get a second one. However, this one is painted to look a little bit more battle damaged. It would have been kind of cool to get some battle damaged hair sculpted with it. His hair is, I mean, especially since his hair doesn't even look like this in the film to begin with. It's a little bit more slicked back, but it would have been cool to get kind of messier hair for the battle damage scenes. Tom Holland's Spider-Man was very, very emotional in this movie, as well as having a lot of anger scenes and being put through the ringer. It would have been cool to have some more dynamic head sculpts to represent that, a more angered or fearful or saddened Spider-Man heads. All that would have been really cool, but they did pay some close attention into some aspects, and not for everything, but I can let this slide. At least they gave us a battle damage head to begin with, so that's pretty cool. That's more that you can say for the other figures, some of the figures from the other companies, so that's still cool. And you get your half unmasked neck right there to go with that. And they didn't even need to introduce or include two head sculpts, so that is appreciated. You get your little spell box doohickey. The broken spell goes in here to keep it stable. And then, I forget what it's called, but then you got your little button right there that'll set it free and cause everybody to die. Not everybody, but your favorite friends and pals. Here's your little grippy hands. You can use these to grip the mask like we discussed, or you can use it to grip the box, or you can use it to grip other things. Anyway, here's your web grabbing hands. These are meant to grab things as well, but it's much smaller, thinner things, like your webs. So you can use that for that. You get your pointer finger hands. Now, these aren't really, this isn't the suit that he wore for the meme picture, but he does do this in the film when he's wearing this suit, so you can use it for that. However, if you really, really wanted to, and you want to be accurate to the picture, now this isn't the best example because this is the Far From Home figure. However, if you do have the Mafex one, he has the more, or the No Way Home version, he has the more accurate belt like this one. I don't have that figure quite yet, but if you want it to be accurate to the actual picture, you can throw these hands onto this figure. The colors don't match up perfectly, but it is possible. Just slide that on there. Now, SH.Figuarts has the habit of making their hands just a little bit too small, so it's not perfect, and it also doesn't sit back there flush enough, but you got a lot of creative people out there, so I'm sure they can make it work with camera angles, or if you just ballsy enough to make it sit in there a little bit deeper, you could do that. Put your pointer finger hands, so that's pretty cool. Next up, you get your thwip hands. A very nice widespread thwip hand, that's very cool. Much appreciated. Different sculpt. And you get your normal splayed open, wall crawling, relaxed gesturing action hand. I don't know. You got a few different things you can do with this. It's not necessarily just a wall crawling hand, but that is what it can be. But it is appreciated. You do get a second set of wall crawling hands. Now these ones are a little bit odd because the gesture is strange as well. However, these are specifically sculpted to be accurate to Knowing Home. And what I mean by that is if you go back and you watch the film, or you go back and you watch the scene where all three Spider-Men land on the Statue of Liberty, you look at you look at Tom's hand, his hand is specifically sitting on the Statue of Liberty like this. It's a bit of a weird gesture, because normally I would think of Spider-Man landing like this, as opposed to like this, but it is pretty cool. That is specifically accurate to that scene, so if you wanted to recreate that pose as faithfully as possible, they gave you a hand to do that, and I will throw a picture up there just so you can see what I'm speaking. You can see the facts that are coming out of this mouth. But that is the accessories. I'll show you the masthead, and of course you get fisted hands too, don't forget that. But you get your masthead right there. I do want to come clean on something. I forgot. This is the second time I'm recording this figure, or recording this video. So I noticed this while I was doing it the first time. I have tack inside the head, and I'm not going to take it out because I refuse to. But if you get this figure brand new out of the box, your head will just sit just slightly bit lower. It was enough to bother me. It's not enough to bother everybody. I felt the need to lift it up. You might not need to do that, so just keep that in mind. Now, as far as aesthetics go, we're going to go over just a handful of things that I am a little bit confused by, but as far as everything else goes, it's a pretty solid figure. So let's just get into a few nitpicks. First of which being that I thought the head sat a little bit low, but it's not that big of a deal. That's something you generally run into with a lot of figures, whether the head sits too low or sits too high. The Andrew Garfield figure in this specific set, I don't know why I keep calling it a set, it's not a set, but the Andrew figure in this line, his head sits too high. This one I think sits too low. One of the other things being that the size of the hands are too small. As per usual, SH.Figuarts gives the Spider-Man figures very small, tiny little baby hands. I don't know what that's all about. That right there is what a man hand looks like. That's a nice fist. They're essentially the same size figure, other than the Mafex having a bigger head, which that by itself is more accurate anyway. But he has bigger hands. This is what your hands should look like. He's got thinner wrists. Well, not really thinner wrists, but there's more of a transition between the forearm and the wrist here than, well, maybe that's not really true. They're just kind of shaped differently. But the hands on this one are better. That's the point. But the hands, and then you got the diaper going on. Now, I'm not somebody who's specifically irritated by the way SH.Figuarts does the Spider-Man hips. It generally doesn't bother me. It only bothers me with some figures. I think some of the figures, they do it really well. One of them being this one. This figure has a really good hip system. It's functional. It looks good. It's not loose or anything like that. On this figure, it's very solid. However, on the Toby figure, I think it is functional, or I think it does look good for the most part. It's just not functional. It's very loose for me. This right here is an example of a figure that does this hip system, and it looks good. Mine's a little bit wonky right now, but for the most part, it looks good. The SH.Figuarts Far From Home Spider-Man figures, they do it extremely well. That's where they did the best job with it, in my opinion. It's functional, it looks good, it's tight. It's not whatever this is. This is cut in what looks to be a straight line going across, and it's also very thick and bulbous looking. It doesn't suit the figure at all, in my opinion. You can see right here, this has kind of a natural curve following the crotch, so it kind of gives it has an underwear look to it, but it looks like, it just looks more natural than a straight line going across. This one probably looks more like underwear, this looks more like a diaper, and it's bulbous, which doesn't help, so that's another thing. I'm not going to ramble onto that too much because that's something that everybody complains about, but in this specific example, a hip system like this would have worked much, much better. The only other thing being the shoulders. The shoulders are generally sculpted properly. The front of the shoulder peaks kind of right above the collarbone area. Like generally, I forget what the front head of the shoulder is called, but you have the front head of the shoulder, then you have your lateral head, and then you have your posterior head. I can't remember what the front of it's called, but that is generally where the shoulder peaks, right around the collarbone area, where it's lined up with the collarbone area. But I thought they were backwards at first, just because generally speaking, figures aren't sculpted like that. Figures are generally sculpted to have much rounder shoulders. But this one is sculpted to be a little bit more anatomically correct. So I was kind of taken back by that. Like I said, generally your shoulders are just kind of round. So this one, I give them A for effort for making it look a little bit more anatomically correct, but I just think it looks unnatural for this figure. There's something about it, the shoulders are they're strange to me. But I appreciate the effort, so I can't fault them too much on that. And you can pose it away, it doesn't look too bad most of the time. But as far as the rest of the aesthetics, the figure looks great in my opinion. SH.Figuarts is some of my favorite, has some of my favorite Spider-Man figures because they do such a good job with the paintwork. That's something that I care about a lot. If you go to Marvel Legends, they can't put the effort into actually painting the web lines. And if you go to Nitpicks, they only use a wash, so it makes the web lines come out very uneven. SH.Figuarts always does the lines one by one, or not one by one, but they always go in specifically to do the lines with paintwork. A consistent paint scheme is what I'm trying to say. And it always looks great. The gold on this figure looks phenomenal. I'm not a fan of the black color. I know a lot of people say that that's what the suit looks like. Even Hot Toys says that's what the suit looks like. If you go back and you watch the film, there's more instances in when the film and the suit looks blue than when it looks black. Now, if you want to, now there's no real suit to compare it with, but this is the suit, this is the color of the blue that I see in the film. There is some shots in the movie where the suit looks black. That can be down to being the fact that this suit, the movies get sourced out to so many different special effects companies, as CGI artists spread all around. It could be just a case where some artists made their scenes look black and some artists made their scenes look blue. A big argument for the suit being black is that the base suit was the upgraded suit. However, if you look at any of the details on the upgraded suit and any of the details on the integrated suit, the suits are completely different. There's only a handful of details that actually line up for that to even matter. Like, there's such few and far between. For an example, you got red going up above the black band, which wasn't the case on this suit. You've got red lines going all throughout, and then the black lines that are on the sides of the suit and on the legs. None of the panel lines line up. So I don't give a shit if this was the base suit or not. None of the details line up anyway. So, in my opinion, the suit's supposed to be blue. I will take that to my grave. But the figure looks good. It looks good. If you think the suit should be black, then this figure looks good. Although it's kind of more of a gray, at least for the figure. It's not really black. But if you think the suit should be black, this looks pretty close to it. As far as the rest of the aesthetics go, it looks darn good. The paint scheme, the sculpting, all of it looks fairly sharp. I think this looks more like a human being than this does, for the most part. Kind of depends on what you like and what you lean towards. This looks more like Tom Holland's build. But as far as the articulation goes, with the head and neck joint combined, you can go back this far, you go forward this far, you get a little bit of attitude back and forth. Of course, you get a full 360 with both joints. With the shoulder and biceps, the shoulder and the butterfly joint connected are using both the shoulder and butterfly joint. You can get all kinds of rotation in here, all kinds of pivot, whatever you want to call it. The arm and butterfly joint can make the arm go up this far, pull it down this far. You can go all the way around. You can reach forward this far, reach back. all kinds of movement. You get a proper bicep swivel, so a lot of folks will be happy with that. An excellent elbow joint, and you get your standard ball joint for the wrists, so you can get that to go in any sort of configuration that you would like. With the with the diaphragm joint and the waist joint connected, you'll be able to crunch forward that far, and back not so much, and you can't really get any leaning out of it unless it's just my specific figure, but you do get some swivel. Yeah, see, the swivel is pretty tight, so it might be just my figure. The legs move out this far, move forward that much, and move back a little bit further. You get your thigh swivel, your double jointed knees, and your you get a ball joint for the ankle, so you get a rotation. Your feet will move down this far, up this far, ankle pivot, and then you get some toe articulation. So, with all that being said, I think this guy looks really good. You also, another thing is you get two different finishes. Actually, let me get back into the aesthetics real quick. You get your kind of gray base color, and then you get a kind of darker black for the line work. I forgot to mention that. That looks really sharp. That is accurate to the film from what I can tell. For me personally, this looks blue in the movie. The base suit looks blue, and then all the detail work is black. That's what it looks like to me in the movie. I'll show you examples of that throughout the video. But the paintwork on this guy looks stunning. SH.Figuarts did a fantastic job. I don't love everything on the figure, but I think it's a darn good figure. Definitely recommend it if you're a Spider-Man fan, if you're a No Way Home fan, if you are a Tom Holland fan especially. You will really enjoy this figure. You can do a lot of cool things with it. But I'm late to the party, so you folks probably already have it. If you are questioning on getting this figure, don't question anymore. Get the guy. Get him to support SH.Figuarts, even if you don't think it's the best Spider-Man figure. And the reason why I say that, let me get this out of the way real quick. This figure was revealed, from what I can remember, it was revealed around September 2021. They didn't start to really announce the figures for the film until just shortly before the movie came out in December. This figure was announced in September 2021, and I just realized that he's got the wrong hand on that side. I can't exactly remember when the figure came out because I didn't get them when they came out, unlike these ones. I didn't get this guy until December or January of 2023. I got this guy after this dude was already announced, and I had him pre-ordered. I just really wanted this one as well. This figure was announced in June 2022, I believe. So, now, by the time he came out, it was quite some time, but SH.Figuarts announced and released this figure, and then immediately announced this figure pretty much. It was less than a year. SH.Figuarts deserves some props for that, because they didn't just re-release the same figure like Mafex did, or like Marvel Legends did, with a different paint scheme. And, I mean, SH.Figuarts didn't even bother taking the gauntlets off. Or, Marvel Legends didn't bother taking the gauntlets off. As you can see, SH.Figuarts did do that. They did correct the hands. This is what the hand looked like before. That is not accurate. This is what it looked like now, which is more accurate to the upgraded suit, which is accurate. As you can see, Marvel Legends gave us hands that have web lines on them. The only time they painted web lines is for a suit that's not accurate. SH.Figuarts deserves credit for, in such a short period of time, like if it was the same suit in a different movie, then I would understand that. I mean, that's similar to this situation where you have the upgraded suit from Far From Home, and then you have the upgraded suit for No Way Home. Now, technically, it is a different suit, but you actually get the suit to come back in a separate film. This isn't the same situation. This is SH.Figuarts completely redoing the figure for the same movie. Just a few months after this one released, they announced this one. I think that that's incredible. I think SH.Figuarts deserves a little bit of credit for that. They gave us a whole boatload of accessories. They reused the head. However, they gave us brand new webbing for all three Spider-Mans, brand new hands, brand new unmasked, or just holding masks or whatever. Accurate accessories for the film. This figure came very bare bones, but they came with the original line for the film had a lot of accessories as well. If you get the Iron Spider and the black and gold suit, in as far as that goes. But just them completely redoing the figure. This one making it very cheap and affordable for the main suit for the movie technically. And then going back and completely redoing the figure, completely different paint scheme, completely different sculpt, completely different body type. That deserves some credit and some love in my opinion. So even if you don't think it's the greatest figure and you're kind of holding out for the Mafex, I would still get this guy. I think it's worth it. I think both of these figures are worth it. And even just to support the company. That's honestly what I think. I mean, SH.Figuarts, in the amount of time that it took Mafex to announce one integrated suit figure. Mind you, their figure hasn't even been fully revealed yet, or let alone released. In the amount of time that it took Mafex to announce that they were doing No Way Home figures, SH.Figuarts did 2 separate, completely different integrated suit figures. They did a full wave of the Tom Holland suits, and then they did all 3 Spider-Mans, and now at this point the Green Goblin figure has been released. In that same amount of time, Mafex did, or Marvel Legends did 2 integrated suit figures that are the exact same figure with a different paint scheme, and they didn't even get rid of the gauntlets. They finally did web lines for it, so they think that they did all that. That's a whole nother conversation in itself. This is what a true toy company should be doing. This is what care, love, and just overall customer. I don't even know how you want to describe it. In my opinion, SH.Figuarts did something special with this. They released a phenomenal Tobey Maguire figure. They released a phenomenal Andrew Garfield figure, even with the limitations that were put upon them. We will get into that when I get into that video for the next one. But SH.Figuarts is my go-to company, and I'm just gonna I'm gonna calm down. There's a whole lot of rambling, and like I said, I already did this video once, and I wanted to make it shorter, and this whole thing here is making it longer, even so. But for real, SH.Figuarts deserves some love for this. I mean, look at these 2 figures. They're completely different. There's nothing about them. They don't even look like they're from the same company. They completely redid it, and not only did they completely redo it, there's different engineering going into the figure. The figure's got ankle caps this time to help. Whether you like that or not, it's something that they added. They didn't need to. They're experimenting with different things. That's what you want to see in toy companies when they're experimenting and trying new things. They added caps to the ball joints for the ankles. They added caps to the shoulders. Mind you, it's not the right color, but they added the little cap in there to help with gapping or whatnot. They're experimenting and trying new things, and I love it. I much appreciate it. They completely increased the scale of Tom Holland's Spider-Man because he was getting way too small compared to the other ones. They increased his mass to make it a little bit more acceptable for the Tobey and Andrew figure, and that's greatly appreciated. So without trying to make this video a half an hour long, I'm going to go ahead and just jump into the size comparisons real quick. Only a few today. We'll get more extensive into its own video just because I think that's something that'll be pretty fun. And also the Andrew Garfield SH.Figuarts figure. But here's a couple of Spider-Man figures. Some of them have a few things done to them. For an example, these guys, their feet have been swapped. This guy didn't come with this head. This guy's head's a little bit lower. This Mafex right here had the torso adjustment done to it, so he's a little bit taller than what yours would be. I know I like to use modified figures for the size comparisons. I know it doesn't make any sense, but I tell you all the things that are different and all on them anyway, so at the end of the day, it's not going to be a huge difference. But here's just a few size comparisons right there for some Tom Holland Spider-Man action. Here's another upgraded suit. So there you go. You get a size comparison across 3 lines of the same Spider-Man. Love him or hate him, he's got some pretty awesome figures out there. There's a lot of incredible Tom Holland figures out there of his Spider-Man, and that's much appreciated to a Spider-Man fan. So if you guys enjoyed this video, please hit the like button, subscribe, notification bell. All that would be greatly appreciated if you decide to do so. If you like this video that much, maybe you would like to go over to my second channel, Michael's Customs and Comics, and hit the like button. or actually hit the subscribe button on some of those videos. Maybe watch a couple of them too. It would be greatly appreciated as well. I will be coming back with the Andrew Garfield video shortly. Stay tuned for that. And of course, until next time, true believers.